All right, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second edition of Right Down the Alley. And we have our good friend Kyle Troup with us, who is home in North Carolina right now. Getting ready for a big fall with a lot of bowling stops along the way. So, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Just talk about what have you been up to since I know we saw you on Fox Sports One winning the tour trials. Just how's everything going since then?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Too. It's been a little busy for me actually. It was pretty crazy times. Throughout the summer, wasn't a lot of bowling, wasn't a lot of traveling, but I would say probably around the PBA Tour Finals, around the middle of July, I've actually been traveling a little bit more for bowling. Other than the Tour Finals, there really hasn't been any PBA events, but I have found some other events to bowl. Just did a clinic last weekend. So, starting to, get back to somewhat normalcy. We always,
Hmm.
I forgot to have my mask forgot to have my mask for the
Sure.
call. But we feel like we're getting a little bit back to normalcy now, traveling around a little bit, doing some bowling, and
Right.
have kind of been dealing with a little hand injury again, kind of similar to last year, but nowhere near as serious. So I've last few weeks I really haven't bowled too much. Just kind of did the coaching and been hanging out, playing some golf a little bit.
That's cool. And you were doing a clinic on Monday, right? You did want something for Special Olympics or something?
No, so well, we were in Cookville over the weekend. Yeah,
Okay.
we were. I was working with Bob Learn and Ameloto Monticelli with Bowling Revolutions, and
All
and
right.
uh, we had a big weekend. They had a big 43rd grand opening in the bowling center. This place was popping. Man, they had 43-cent games, 43-cent hot dogs, 43-cent sodas. Yeah, it was a pretty big weekend, and so I wasn't able to make it home till really late on Monday
Right.
after helping out with that. But it was cool to not have to worry about competing and being able to just share my knowledge of the game a little bit. And there was a lot of youth bowling during the clinic, so it's fun to share some on the kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did you bring any hot dogs home? Anything in a cooler? Yeah. Yeah. Like.
No, I might have had a few while I was there, but we'll leave that for the rest of them because they had plenty of people probably still coming in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I was just doing some reading of your bio this afternoon, a little bit around, getting to know you a little bit better, and yeah, you did really well on the regional tour for the first 5 years of your career, and you won a title in 2010 in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. So, what was it like when you won with 19 when you were 19 years old? I had Mike Albee on last night, and Mike Albee won his first title, major title when he was 19. So, what was it like winning one at 19 years old?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it is a little different winning a regional title at 19 versus winning a national title at 19 years old, like
Right.
Pete Weber, Norm Duke, Mike Albee. But I remember that tournament very, very specifically. Yeah, it was on the Fort in Fort Jackson on one of the military bases down there, and that was the first year that the Tournament of Champions was allowing the regional players to bowl because it was when they paid 250,000 for first. And Harry O'Neill, a longtime Southern Region director, his wife Gloria, she said, "Kyle, I think this is going to be your tournament to win. Because they're allowing regional bowlers to bowl the Tournament of Champions. You can go win that $250,000." And I'm like, "Okay, Gloria, whatever you say." Ended up winning the thing. It was pretty awesome. Guppy was there. Because it was only like 2 hours from the house, so I was actually so cheap back then. I didn't even book a hotel. I was commuting the 2 hour drive back and forth every day. But it started the dream, man. I mean, that was what I wanted to be, was a PBA champion, and I did have some regional success growing up. That was where I was doing my grinding, doing my learning. Unfortunately, I did not know how to throw it slow back then, so if the gutter was in play, I was had a chance at winning, and if not, I went back to making frosties on Monday quite quickly
Yeah.
because I was also managing Wendy's at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was looking at it going, yeah, he was a manager of Wendy's. I was like, he must have been sitting there. Did you get, speaking of being a manager of Wendy's, my brother was a manager of Walgreens and all that. Did you get a phone call during your tournament going, hey, Kyle, we have a problem with the vanilla frosty? Did you get the phone?
Luckily, they knew that during the week it was Wendy's time, and on the weekend was bowling time. That was one reason why I stayed working for Wendy's for so long. It was my first job at 16, promoted up to a shift manager at 18, and just kind of worked at that level. I stayed hourly so that I could kind of make my schedule. They worked very well with me, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about people skills and communication and patience. That was definitely something I learned being a manager in a fast food restaurant. But it was a great blessing for me growing up, having Wendy's to support me and chasing my dreams. And I actually quit April of 2016. So I worked there for about 8 years almost. I mean, I put in some times. I made a few Frosties in my day and some Baconators. But, it was, after I won my first title and then worked a little bit longer, and I said it was time to make the jump. And it was time to quit and just devote all my time to bowling. And here we are now. So I guess it was a good decision.
Yeah, speaking of Baconator, I had a code word for it. It was my baked potato. Yeah, because I was dating somebody and they're like, oh, you had a baked potato? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there we go.
Ratted me out. I'm like, I'm like, come on, man. Yeah, but anyway, in 2015, you won your first PBA title on TV, and how cool was it to bowl in front of your dad on television? Yeah, because I know your dad won 8 titles, and he was trying to be that guy in the '80s, trying to him and Mark Roth and Pete Weber and all that stuff. So, was it like winning one right in front of him?
I mean, that was, now that was actually, my a dream come true. I said it winning the regional, but actually having my whole family there, my mother, my father, and my brother, they were all out there with me to pretty much run the ladder on my first show. I was the number 3 seed, so I didn't have to bowl the very first match. But man, I told people I was going to win that tournament for probably 9 months leading up to it, because I knew I was only good on the short. Like, there was no way I was making the cut on shark or some of these longer oil patterns, because I wasn't that good yet. But I knew if the gutter was playing and I could throw some urethane equipment that I'd have a chance. And shout out to Motive at the time. I was a free agent, and the Motive balls worked pretty well that week. But they were a big help to me then, and along with a lot of the other teams. Just being a free agent player out there, a lot of people were giving me advice. Leading up to the show. And it was a lot of fun to be able to get the win, in front of my family, to beat Marshall Kent, a buddy of mine now. I've actually got a pretty good record against him on TV, and I've only won 3 titles off of him. Sorry, Marshall, I love you though. But it started the run, and then like I said, I ended up quitting my job probably 10 to 11 months after that. I probably could have done it then, but I was still wanted to have that safety net at home, just in case bowling went bad. But I was on my way to becoming a full-time player once I won my first title.
Yeah. Well, explain to the folks you were a free agent, so that basically you could have anybody could give you anything, right? Like a bowling ball or a wristband or something, and say, hey, try this product out. You might like it.
Yeah, so I was definitely a free agent, and it wasn't really quite like everybody was just throwing stuff my way. I really hadn't really done anything on tour.
Right.
I'm Guppy Troup's son, but that only gets you so far in the real world. You gotta earn your stripes on tour, and Storm was very helpful too. I threw probably 85% Storm pretty much all my life, and I knew my first contract signing would be with Storm, which came the following year, and I've been with them ever since. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. That week, I believe back then the Storm had a natural, and the Motive Rebel tank just happened to work better for me that week. I actually threw a Brunswick ball in qualifying. It was like the Radical Guru. I threw a bunch of random stuff that week, and luckily the tank worked out really well for me on that show, and then I think that kind of also brought the attention to me, from Storm's eyes, because I'd actually tried to get on staff with Storm probably the year prior, and I didn't really have any pro shop affiliation. I hadn't really done much. I was really trying to get a national contract, and they had declined the offer at the time. But I think that kind of helped me get noticed a little bit, and here I am with Storm. I love it with them. I feel like part of the family, and we're going on 4 years strong with probably many more to come.
Yeah, talk about that, because a lot of people don't realize. Yes, you bowl on Saturdays or Sundays or whatever, but Storm is basically your bread and butter that gets you money during the week so you can pay your bills, right? It's like a real job, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Storm takes care of us. They provide a lot of good opportunities for us on tour, and all the ball manufacturing brands. That's what really helps the players and pushes the tour. So we got to give kudos, Obviously, I've got to give my kudos to Bill and Barb Chrisman with Storm. They've done a fantastic job. Anything I've ever needed, they've been there to help me. And shout out to the rest of the brands too for driving bowling right now, especially during the hard times and stuff with everything that's happened. Luckily, bowling still has its fans, and its supporters within the brand.
Yeah. Well, talk about you're down in North Carolina during this whole COVID thing. Bowling centers were shut down. I know I think Mike Albee told me last night there's 4 states they're not open yet. One's Michigan, Washington State. I think Arkansas is one of them, and I think somebody else, and Michigan.
North Carolina bowling centers are still not legally allowed to open, but they are open. Yeah, okay. That's it's there. We've been pushed back phase 2 for 5 weeks, 3 times now. We don't get our next dates like September 11th. And so that prohibits gyms, bowling centers, stuff like that to open. However, some local centers have opened, and then it, I guess, comes down to the county. But it's crazy. If kids are going back to school, people can go to the movies, people can do this. They should be able to go to a bowling alley. Like, come on. We can sanitize the bowling balls, sanitize the shoes, and keep people separated. So, I think it's coming sooner or later. It's only a matter of time. But, luckily we're able to get by right now down here in the South. South Carolina is not too far. They have bowling centers open. Georgia has bowling centers open. So there's a few surrounding states that, if I'm really itching to bowl and really wanting to get at it, I could probably do a little traveling and find some bowling.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your season so far, and you're doing pretty well. You have 3 titles. You won one in Jonesboro. You won the doubles championship in Indianapolis with your friend Jasper. He bowls pretty good with his you guys bowl pretty well together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
But it's been a tough year because you lost somebody you truly love, your mother. Right? And how did that affect you to get back on tour, knowing that your mother wanted you to get back on tour because that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's been quite the year, man. To start off, winning in Jonesboro, my mother had been battling, her health issues with bone cancer and everything for quite some time. So, I knew that she was needing a good week to win in Jonesboro. I thought that was so special to be able to put a smile on her face, And then the following week, I actually missed the show at the TLC by like 6 pins, but it was meant to be. I was able to be home, be there with the family for the passing, and it taught me a lot. I definitely had to spend a week at home, spending a lot more time with family, and I had to do some growing up too. I grew up real fast, and but I also was ready to get back out on tour because I know that's what she would have wanted. I missed my family, my bowling family. And, I had so many, messages, Facebook posts, everything, so much love and support from the bowling community. It was very, very gracious. And, to get back out there, and to bowl the doubles with Jesper, we said we were going to win that tournament for quite some time, and he had lost somebody as well earlier in the year, a dear friend of his. And to lead by 589 pins. Was just unthought of, and we weren't even leading going into match play. It was great. But then to cap that off and get the win, then it was that was probably the most special win right there because it was for so many more people than myself and Jesper. My father was there for the week, and just I think that was a message for everyone. Anybody that goes through some hard things, you can always find the positive in it, find the light out of it, and that's what I've chosen to do because. You can live unfortunately you can live in sorrow and in pity and, feel sorry for yourself, or, you deal with the blows. We all have our demons and stuff at times, but, you keep moving forward, and that's what I've done. And, then the COVID happened. Thank God, love you, Mom. You're not having to be here for all this. That's a blessing for her. But, we had the time off, and I put a lot of work in June. Leading up to the tour finals, and to be able to win there, it was my first time bowling that event. I wanted to take full advantage of it. I felt like if I put in a lot of extra work, I might have a little advantage over some other players, and I think that showed. Not that anybody bowled bad, but I felt like I was very sharp mentally and physically, and so I was able to get number 3 on the year. Never thought, had 3 titles coming into the year, who would have thought that, I'd win that many in 1 year? But the crazy thing is the year's not over. I did, like I said, I have been nursing a hand injury a little bit. So I've been derailed for the last few weeks, not really been able to practice or anything. But, we've got the PBA league coming up the end of next month. I know we're going to talk about. So I figure probably week or two before that, mid-September, I'm going to really get back in, buckle down hard, and try and get prepared for whatever we have for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Well, we were talking, folks, thanks for logging in tonight. We have Right Down the Alley with Kyle Troup here on Herberton Sports Radio on StreamYard. A very good program. If you like, the folks want to go on and do your own stuff, you can do it from home here with StreamYard. Your father, Guppy, who I grew up watching when I was a little kid, 3, 4 years old, watching bowling every Saturday afternoon. What did he teach you growing up? Because I know did you get a chance to go to any of his tournaments on TV or anything to watch him bowl?
Well, so I was born in 91, and he was kind of pretty much done with tour by then. I believe other than making the 98 Erie Open, that was his last show from like 1985. That was probably like 1984, 1985. And that was before I was born. But he actually did make a show whenever I was 7 years old. And he rocked the house. He had like front seven in his first match on TV. He was going crazy. Guys had Guppy painted on their stomachs in the crowd. But I got to go to a lot of regionals and stuff because he probably didn't get into his prime of winning regionals till I was probably born, really. He probably racked up 20, 25 regional titles since I've been born, and he's at 42 now. So that he did a lot of his winning growing up as I was growing up. So he really didn't teach me much about bowling because, I bowl with two hands and he's one of the straightest players to ever bowl. So he really honestly didn't teach me too much when it comes to the physical side of bowling, other than to make your spares and don't show an attitude, or he was going to yank me off the lane. So he definitely raised me right, taught me to have a good attitude. And the main thing that he did teach me was to have fun. And I try to always have fun whenever I'm bowling, because if you're not having fun while you're bowling, then you're doing something wrong. And, obviously he's taught me some things in the middle game as I've gotten a little older. But, for the most part, he was big on just wanting me to have fun with it. And I was able to kind of learn as I got, as I grew up. And then I got a few lessons as the years went on. And, here we are now trying to just pick it out as much as we can.
Yeah, I gotta say the pick is pretty good. Bring out the pick. Yeah, I want to grow you. I told my mother one day, I said, I want to get Kyle's hair. Yeah, I want to just grow an afro. My mom's like, really? I'm like, hey, Kyle's a good man.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it.
You got the
you
hair.
Can do many things with it too. You can do many things. It's not always like this. I definitely throwed it up for the show for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, but but back to your dad. When you started bowling two hands, did he stop you for a minute, going, "What are you doing?" Yeah, or did he you looked at it and go, "All right, do you want to do that? Go ahead." Yeah.
Luckily Guppy was one of the most easygoing guys, so he never tried to change me. He had several guys that when he would bring me to regionals and I'd be bowling in the pro-am or just bowling practice games whenever I could, they were like, what is your kid doing? But he said, whatever he wants, just let him bowl. And luckily, so he never tried to change me. I changed for like a month when I was like 11. And I was terrible. I still can't even bowl one-handed really nowadays. So, I stuck with it pretty much my whole life, and thank God I have, because we might still be making Frosties and Baconators if not.
or owning
I'd probably be owning a Wendy's by now. I'd be making decent money, but I wouldn't have no life to spend it on.
Yeah. Can I get one large fry? No, thank you. Anyway, let's talk about the PBA League. You guys bowl normally up in Portland, Maine, and basically that whole town, Portland, Maine, looks like they stopped for the whole entire week for you guys. It's loud. I don't know how you guys bowl with people yelling in your ear and come out with these funny costumes, and it's like an old throwback to like the days when you used to see on TV, like what was the TV show that was doing like In Living Color and all those people just bring out weird stuff. Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's a little before my time, I guess.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like it's like you look at you come on and you watch it on TV and you're like, what is that guy wearing a I love to get drunk, or something like that.
No, the crowd up at Bayside Bowl, man, they love bowling. They advertise that bowling center. One of their slogans is the way bowling should be, and it is. They just love bowling and they love to party. And when you mix those two things together, you make for some pretty entertaining television and some pretty electrifying atmosphere. And that's what the PBA League has been about up there is bowling in Portland. And unfortunately, as you can see here on the screen, with the COVID and the restrictions, with the limited amount of people, it's just not able to happen in Portland, Maine this year. So, Bolero, has been gracious enough to find us a host center for us to still provide that for the fans and stuff back home. It's still one of the highlighted events of our season. We've added 4 new teams, 2 all women's teams. There's a lot of exciting things that happen in the league this year. And, we're not going to have the fans, but I think the bowlers, because we still want to win the league. We still want to, especially now that Portland and I'm on the Lumberjacks and we're not going to get to defend our title in front of our fans back in Portland. We're going to have to win it again and then bring it back for next year. So, there's still a lot of prestige on the line. The atmosphere is going to be a little different now, but I think that's going to even give the opportunity for the best teams to shine even more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Marshall and Melicelli go out, and say, "Hey, I'm going to bowl you for a match." Just like the old days when I used to watch them on TV, going like the showboat. They used to bowl against each other a lot.
I mean, that was one of the great things with adding the new teams. We got Marshall Holman, Annaletta Monticelli, Bob Learn Jr. is one of the captains, and I believe Kim Terrell is the fourth captain for the other women's team. So we've added a lot of Hall of Famers in the sport of bowling as well on the coaches side of it. So it just brings even more electrifying teams together. I think it's going to be a great product. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Because we haven't got to compete against each other in a full size event pretty much since March, since the World Series. Other than the few things you've seen on television, but there's only been 8 people at those events. So to be able to see a lot of the bowlers that I haven't seen in 6 months, a lot of my friends, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to getting the competitive juices flowing back in the PBA.
Yeah, I think it would be great to see. And it's in my area, an hour and 45 minutes away, so I can see. Well, it's not going to be the craziness I saw up in Portland, but it will be somewhat crazy because I know you guys are all family when you're on TV, so you guys pick on each other all the time. It's funny when.
There's going to be that's going to be the thing with no fans. I guarantee you the smack talk's going to be flying at the league. So I think that's what I'm really looking forward to. But I know there's a few guys. You don't pick on Tommy Jones, you don't pick on Stu Williams, and that's about you don't pick on those 2 guys because they'll eat you alive. They are really good at the comeback. So I've learned as I've gotten older to not pick on those 2 guys unless I'm just trying to beat them in bowling.
Hey, Tommy seems like he doesn't put up with anybody's garbage. He
ain't got time with it. He ain't got time for it.
Yeah, him and Chris Barnes like to play hey, I won. You want to try again? Yeah, but that was great to see him when he bowled that 300 game on TV. Right after being a Hall of Famer.
Right off. I mean, we knew we were in for a bang this year. I didn't know it was going to end up where we're at now, but wow, Tommy starting off at 300, we knew it was going to be a big 2020.
Exactly. Well, Kyle, I'm going to let you go. I know we're waiting for Dave LaMont to join us, but I know you want to relax because you had a long week of helping people out, and I appreciate you taking some time tonight, and I hope to see you in Centerville, Virginia. It's going to be the new home for the PBA League. What's the weekend? The end of the weekend of September?
Yeah, I've actually got the dates for you. So we got Sunday, September 27th, noon and 7 p.m., and then the 28th, 29th, and 30th at 7 p.m. every night on FS1. So we'll be on live TV 4 days in a row. It's going to be a big weekend of bowling into September. So, we're really looking forward to it. And thanks for having me on here again. It was good to chat with you again. Good to see you this time. I believe we did a phone call the last time. So, but thanks for having me anytime, man. I wish you the best. And hopefully we'll put on a show for you in September.
Yeah, and I hope to see you down there. We'll grab some people, and we'll probably do this for a week before the league starts. We'll get some people on. This will be fun.
Sounds good.
All right, Kyle. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Chris, take care.
All right, man. All right, that's Kyle Troup, who's been on the broadcast with us tonight. We're just waiting for Dave LaMont to join us here shortly. It was really good to have Kyle on. Kyle is a very good at bowling with the two hands. I can't bowl with two hands. I tried that a couple times, in the what's that, the disco ball night thing. You do all that, all that stuff, but can't do it. So anyway, folks, coming up tomorrow night, we'll be on the program tomorrow night. Please join us at 7 o'clock for Yuski and Herbie. We'll have the former Clemson and United States soccer star Uchi Anuwani will be joining us. I probably need to get somebody to help me with this translate. But he's a local guy who went to here in Maryland. He's helping get Maryland the opportunity to host a World Cup soccer game in 2026 because the United States, Canada, and Mexico are going to be hosting games in that World Cup. So that's going to be very, very interesting. So we'll just wait for Dave LaMont to join us here. Hopefully, Dave will know to log in. If you want to go and get to know Kyle a little bit more, I found his Facebook. He has a Facebook page, and I forgot to save it. So here's Kyle's Kyle Troup's Facebook page. You can just go to his Facebook, and you can see all the cool stuff that he brings up on his Facebook page. He talks about the bowling balls and Storm and and TikTok and very good. Started and he put down his life event. He started working at Wendy's in Hickory, North Carolina on June 11th, 2007. So that's really, really cool. So we're waiting for David LaMont to join us, a former Miami Hurricane broadcaster who was down there in Miami. Does a lot of stuff. He did a lot of stuff with the Hurricanes. Went to school there. So we'll try to talk a little Miami football, here on the, we do cover a lot of the ACC football here on Yuski and Herbie. That's tomorrow night here on the program. So hopefully we'll get Dave to join us here. And Dave will be rolling in here shortly. Hopefully he got we gave him the link today. So hopefully he knew how to get log in. So, so tomorrow night, right here on Herbertown Sports Radio, we will have this gentleman. So he'll be joining us tomorrow. And speaking of Dave is coming on the program with us. So hold on a second. Let's get our main attraction off tomorrow. So let's bring in Dave. Dave, can you hear us, sir? I think he doesn't hear me. Hey, Dave.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Hey, thank you so much for doing this tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I know you're doing a lot of video these days.
Nothing else to do.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? We just sit in our bedrooms and talk to people.
Pretty much. I'm sitting at the dining room table right now.
That's awesome. So thanks for coming on tonight.
Sure.
I was doing some research today, a little bit, and I did not realize that you spent a spring training from 2001 to 2009 with the Orioles at
the PA guy. Yeah, I was the PA guy.
Yeah, talk about how bad that stadium was. I heard it was like
I could do much about it. It would be kind of mean spirited, but yes, it wasn't good.
It's like one of our stadiums around here in Maryland. It's like
it was ugly. It was very ugly. We can talk about that.
Yeah, down the road we'll talk Fort Lauderdale sports stadiums. Is it still round? Or
no.
Did they have
No, they finally, that whole complex is gone, and now the new Miami soccer team in MLS, the Miami soccer team, which plays in Fort Lauderdale, has a new facility there, which I have no problems with. There's some people here who are pretty cranky about it, but I've got no problems with it.
Yeah. Well, you went to the University of Miami for for broadcasting and all that stuff, and I got to say you're part of the U, and that's my brother's a big Miami Hurricane fan. So, what was it like being there in Miami, during '98 through 2000? Because the football team was very good, and they had Dorsey, and they had, basically an NFL squad playing every year, every game, pretty much. You had McGahee, all that stuff.
That champion, I was gone by then, unfortunately, but I saw the buildup of that. I went through the period where they dropped and they went on probation, and then as they started to climb out of it, and it's actually 95 to 99.
Okay,
would be and is the right years. So you could see it coming, and then when it got good for a little while, we had 20, I think, from that championship team made it to the NFL, either drafted or just made it. And Hall of Famer, Ed Reeds and guys like that. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. I had a chance to talk to Ed Reed a couple of years ago in Charlotte, because he was there for the ACC Legends Dinner, and he was really cool to sit down and have a conversation with him. And and I asked him about that Boston College, taking the interception out of the guy's hands, and he was telling me the whole story. And I told my brother about it because my brother's a Hurricane. I know you see the Seminole thing behind me. I'm a big Knowles fan. Yeah, but it's fun. I have a brother who actually likes the Gators. So my mother's like, "Does anybody like Maryland schools?" We're like, "Sorry, I can't help you."
I used to. I grew up in Northern Virginia, so I used to go to Maryland basketball games as a kid before you couldn't get tickets anymore. That's how old I am.
Yeah, I went there last year to
60.
see them against Iowa. It was a good game against Iowa.
But, I mean, it was just when Lefty had gotten things going, and then we moved when I was 15, but I think when I was 14, they stopped selling tickets to the public. They didn't need them anymore. They just had season tickets and student tickets.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your show you've been doing on Facebook. It's pretty interesting because at around noontime, I just see you pop up on Facebook. And I'm like, what is he doing? I'm like, what do you do on your show at noon? You just talk to different people and get to know them a little bit, like what we're doing, or what?
It was almost out of desperation, Chris, when I started it, because I didn't have anything planned. The summer is always quiet for me anyway. I was bored, and I thought, well, I need to do something because other people are doing shows. Why am I not doing something? And it's very low key. I mean, basically, you're looking at the set behind me. Sometimes I turn the mic, the camera around, and just to get a different look to it. And it's just, Mondays and Fridays, I do about 20, 25 minutes. I'll have an occasional guest. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 o'clock, I do about 5-6 minutes, just a quick comment or two about maybe one issue that I think is worth bringing up. Today, for example, was what's going to happen with fantasy football during all of this with the NFL. I mean, I dropped out of my league for a couple of reasons, and then the league ended up just taking the year off. Not because of me, but a couple other guys didn't think it was a worthwhile investment because it's not cheap. Right. And they just all look like, what if something happens week 5? It looks like, to me, it's just going to be an unmanageable headache worrying about the virus and what effect it's going to have on the NFL.
Yeah, that's my question, too, about fantasy football, because my girlfriend and I were just talking about it the other day. I was like, what if because she's in the same league as I am, and I came in second place last year, for the second straight year. I haven't won the title yet. So I'm trying to
you will
get there. I get to the championship weekend and I lose, but it's okay. But anyway, she asked me the same question. I was like, what if these players opt out and they don't want to play? I said, what if they play 1 week and they give you 4 touchdowns, and the next week they go, this is not safe, I'm going to go home, And what are you going to do? You going to pick up some scrub he's on the practice squad, or how? And I'm like, I have no idea.
It's already, you have no control anyway, so you're not getting. It's not getting any better this year, and that's the other thing I think was starting to frustrate me. And to be honest with you, Chris, I got to a point, and I'm very competitive, that I stopped watching football games. I would sit with my phone and refresh it every 4 to 5 minutes or less, and I couldn't watch games if my players were involved. Because if they're, he's not getting the ball enough, why isn't he throwing to him? What do you mean he has 2 targets, And I don't want to watch football like that anymore, at least not for a little while. And so I just thought maybe I just need a year to step away, and I guess I picked a good year to step away.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with you. But to me, it's like I don't get that competitive. My brother gets competitive. He calls me up like 4 months before the fantasy football going, I'm going to pick that guy up, and we're going to have 4 keepers, and I'm going to pick Lamar. I have Lamar Jackson on my squad, so I'm like, I'm not going to trade him. And I was like,
No.
And it's funny. I had so many trade requests. It was not even fun. I get every morning. I wake up at Tuesday morning. No. No. And they were like, oh, my brother's friends like, can I have it for this guy? I'm like, no. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
I just, I don't know. I had to walk. I would, if I stop, even I helped manage my wife's team for 1 year at her office, which was a free league. The only prize was a day off. And I took that as seriously as I would take brain surgery. And that's when I realized that this has to, you're sitting there at 12:30 and you're home and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to check on, and you run to your phone or your computer. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. It's like I was watching Sunday Night Football, and I needed like somebody like Mahomes or somebody not to get 3 touchdowns. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I got a chance to win. And also, he throws one right in the corner with like a second left. I'm like, and I go to bed like this.
I don't need it. I just don't. So I might get back into it, with those guys. I like the guys I'm in the league with. And if I take out a bank loan, I could probably afford to get back in it. But, I need to walk away.
Exactly. Let's talk about college football. We don't know when Miami's supposed to be playing September 12th against, Alabama and Birmingham in Miami. Right. But we don't know what time. What do you think about it? What do you think about 2 weeks before the kickoff? And we don't even know. Is that going to be a 1 o'clock kickoff? Is that going to be a noon kickoff? And that's going to be a prime time on ABC or what? Yeah.
No, that would surprise me. But there's so many unknowns. They just announced that Hard Rock Stadium will limit capacity for the Hurricanes and the Dolphins to 13,000 people, and I'm not sure that many will show up. Yes, it's slowly getting better down here. We were a significant hotspot for the last couple of months. The numbers are, and I do say slowly improving, but it's entirely possible that you could screw this whole thing up by having a lot of, all 13,000 show up, even if they will be spaced out. It's been hard for me to get excited about football because I just keep waiting to walk into a trap door and down will go everything, and then we lose it or we have to reschedule it. It's going to be very bizarre without the Big Ten and the Pac-12. Are we going to do 2 championships? How are they going to get some kind of satisfaction if they end up playing after everyone else does? And then today, I just heard that Texas Tech popped 21 football players. So that's a step back. And what about the rest of the athletic department? There's a lot. The Alabama had 500 cases or more from the student body since they've come back, and students are still partying. They're still carrying on. They're being college students, but in a time where this is not the time to do that. And yet it doesn't seem to make any damn difference to them, and that's a little scary.
Right. And like you said, you can't tell a college kid not to have fun in college. You had fun in college. I didn't go off to college, but I had fun with my brother with college stuff, But, yeah, it was good.
So that and the NFL is kind of the same way. Maybe not as serious. And the other thing is we haven't had any contact in practices. They're just doing what's called shells, which is helmet and shorts, maybe helmet and pads. But they're not hitting each other, and they're going to have to once we drop the puck, but you know what I mean. And I'm not worried about it because I'm not going to be going to watch the Dolphins play in person. But for those who do and for those players, are we going to hit a patch of ice here that's going to slow down the season or force some creative scheduling like baseball? Baseball at least can play doubleheaders and make up for games. You can't do that in the NFL.
Yeah. And it's like I'm a big Met fan, and we had to go down and play the Marlins, and we got popped with 2 guys with COVID. We couldn't play the Yankees last weekend. Now we got to play a doubleheader against the Yankees and a doubleheader tonight against the Marlins. It's like, and they're going to have Jacob deGrom pitch the first game. I'm like, how do you keep him for the Yankees series? That would be a smart idea. Instead of facing the Marlins. Come on. Yeah, that's dumb.
Somebody, I don't know if this was a joke or if this is actually true. As you know, the Marlins were the first team that ran afoul of the virus. And the Braves and Marlins just finished a series early last week, about a week ago. And somebody told me that the next time they meet, they're going to have to get 7 games in 4 days.
Oh, my God.
To make up to get the Marlins back on pace, because they've been a decent team, better than anybody expected so far, as are the Orioles. At 14-14 is almost time to put everybody into the Hall of Fame from what we thought they might win 14 games a year.
Yeah.
So,
you
need your games. You got to get your games in. With an expanded playoffs, you're going to get a couple of surprise teams that sneak in there that would not sneak in if we had a normal MLB season.
Right, exactly. And like my dad says about Major Leagues, the movie, who are these freaking guys? We don't even know who they are. With the Orioles, we're like, who's this guy? And where did he come from?
Oh, yeah. I was at a game last year. My best buddy and I took a baseball road trip together, and that was our last stop was Baltimore. And it just so happened we picked a great night. For me, he's from Ohio. They kicked the dog do out of the Indians, scored 14 runs. But, yeah, I clutched my scorecard that night because there were quite a few names that I was not familiar with. And I understand that. And listen, I'm a fan. I used to work for the organization. So I want them to succeed. And if you have to strip it down and rebuild it, I'm okay with that.
Right. What do you think about the Astros situation with the nailing the guy for the Dodgers guy? Looking at Kelly.
Well,
that was great.
Here's the problem with that kind of what I call fake machismo.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly did not have to step in and face an Astros pitcher. He's relieved. And now we have a DH so he's not batting ever, not this season. If Joe Kelly had to face the consequences of his actions by stepping in and the entire country knows that someone's going to try to drill him, I would be more impressed and give him more respect than – and I'm not a big guy on throwing. And listen, I know I grew up in the era where if you got too close, you got a heater right by your face and you had to back up, or you said, to heck with you, I'm stepping in and I'm staying in there anyway. And that was the code. Well, we've gone a long way since that happened. I think the Tatis thing, when he hit the home run, what's his job? His job's to hit the damn ball. And if it's a fat 3-0 pitch and it's 7-0, you hit it. Yeah. So I don't buy this as much as I used to, the old unwritten rule thing. I think that's a little toxic these days. And the idea of throwing behind a guy when you're taught, when you see a pitch coming at you, to lean back, throwing behind a guy is dangerous, and you could plop somebody. And is that what Joe Kelly really wanted? I hope not.
No. And like you said, in the olden days, I grew up watching 80s baseball, and the Mets used to fight every 86 Mets used to fight every day. Ray Knight, Gold Glove boxer. Punching the crap out of Eric Davis. And I talked to him a couple of years ago, and I was like, what really happened during that whole thing? It was off the mic. And he goes, well, the kid started yapping, and I told him, shut up. You don't yap. You're a young kid. You don't start yapping. And then Eric Davis goes, whatever, dude. I'll do whatever I want. And then Eric Davis slides into third base, and Ray Knight's like, okay, we're gonna go. And that's what happened.
And you don't see much. And now this year, of course, they've been told fight, and you see what happens when they had that A's fight. They really wax those guys with some pretty severe penalties. I mean, they don't even want baseball players to high five each other right now. And so, or do that. Yeah, that was kind of an ill-timed way to stretch your arm out, to say the least. But yeah, so why are you doing this? Why can't you follow some sort of rules? They're there for your protection this year. And I know people seem to enjoy the fights. I don't get as much out of it as other people do, but this year you can't do it. You're gonna eat a large time of your career on the bench this year. Yeah,
60 games, you can't really mess up 60 games. Maybe next year when you have 162 games, and you can go, I can take 2 starts off, I'll get suspended. But 60 games, I mean, it's just 2 starts that your team needs you for possibly in late September.
Yeah, it was the coach, I think, that got and it would have been the equivalent of 54 games or 52 games if you prorate a suspension to a full season. That's basically a third of your season you get for yapping your gums, and you don't help anybody.
No, it doesn't. Well, Dave, it's been fun talking to you. We should do this every Tuesday night. You know,
I am available. Believe me, I've
Yeah.
got the time. But yeah, it's thank you for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it. And it's keep doing what you're doing. I'll forgive you for that flag because I see was that a Wake Forest jersey back there too.
This is my broadcast studio. So I bought things are like $5, like uniforms.
Oh,
to make it look like we're in a production studio, and I'm like, yeah, I know it looks like a third world country, but so what? It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's. I'll be honest with you, Chris. I didn't realize we were live immediately, so I kind of brushed off the Orioles thing. But just to go back real quickly to that, yeah, Fort Lauderdale Stadium was not the nicest place in the world, and I lived in Fort Lauderdale since I was a teenager, so I understand that there was a lot of history in that building. But by the time I was there, everything was outdated. We could not play any night games. The one time we tried, the Yankees came down. It was a big deal, and it rained. A light tower blew out, and they couldn't get it back. So we had to play every game at 105. The locker room was not great. The weights would come down from Maryland, and they would be outside under tents because they couldn't fit them into a proper workout room. So the charm had kind of gone by that time.
Exactly. Well, Dave, thank you so much. And
you bet.
We'll talk to you. Hopefully one day we'll get you on the Husky and Herbie, and we'll talk about whatever game you're doing for ESPN and ABC and what bowling event you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that. Thank you very much for having me, Chris. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks for coming on. That's our good friend, Dave LaMont. We're gonna take we'll take a break here in a minute. Here we'll be right back here on Herb Sports Radio. So hopefully we'll talk to Brian LeClair real quick. Hold on 1 second. All right. Here. Hey Brian, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. I was wondering, are you available? We'll talk a little bit tonight, but are you available more for next Monday?
I believe I can. Was I late getting on?
Yeah, well, because my girlfriend needs me to help her out with something, and I was going to wrap it up, real quick here. So we'll get you on next Monday. Is that okay?
I think next Monday should be fine also.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let me